defiance against all odds. The vast emptiness of space swallowed sound but not light, not the blinding flashes of plasma torpedoes or the emerald streaks of particle beams that crisscrossed the void between the human vessel, Defiant, and the 17 Ziraxian warships that surrounded it. Captain Nathaniel Drake stood tall on the bridge, his weathered face illuminated by the tactical hologram floating before him. 17 red markers against 1 blue. The Ziraxian armada had finally cornered them after a relentless pursuit across 9 star systems. "Status report," Drake commanded, voice steady despite the overwhelming odds. Lieutenant Hakim looked up from her console, dark eyes reflecting the crimson alert lights. Shields at 58% and falling. Weapon systems operational but severely outmatched. Engineering reports the quantum core is stable but untested in combat conditions. Drake nodded, running a hand through his salt and pepper hair. The Ziraxians thought they had the Defiant trapped, outgunned and outnumbered. What they didn't understand was that humanity had always performed best when cornered with no way out. "All hands to battle stations," Drake ordered, voice carrying throughout the ship's comms. "Prepare to initiate Protocol Terminus." A hush fell over the bridge crew. Protocol Terminus existed only as a theoretical last resort, a desperate gamble. Based on technology the United Earth Coalition had classified beyond top secret. Technology the arrogant Ziraxian Empire had dismissed as scientifically impossible. High Commander Zethrax of the Ziraxian Armada watched with smug satisfaction as his fleet tightened their formation around the lone human vessel. The humans had been an infuriating obstacle to Imperial expansion, resourceful and unpredictable where other species surrendered or were methodically conquered. "The human vessel appears to be activating unknown systems, High Commander," reported his first officer. "Irrelevant," Zethrax replied, his scaled skin shifting from blue to purple with anticipation. "No single vessel can withstand the combined firepower of our battle group. Prepare synchronized graviton cannons, let us end this irritating resistance." Aboard the Defiant, Drake's fingers danced across his command console with practiced precision. "Lieutenant Hakim, divert all auxiliary power to the quantum displacement field. Commander Ortega, plot the fold sequence and stand by on my mark." The ship hummed with energy as systems that had remained dormant since its secretive construction came online. The Ziraxian Empire had subjugated 100 worlds with their superior numbers and devastating weaponry, but humans possessed something the Empire had never truly understood: the audacity to attempt the impossible. "Sir, they're charging weapons," Hakim reported, voice tense. "Impact in 22 seconds. Drake smiled faintly. "Perfect timing. Execute fold now." The Defiant disappeared in a brilliant flash of blue-white light just as 17 synchronized. Energy beams converged on its position. Where the human vessel had been now existed only empty space. High Commander Zethrax rose from his command throne, scales shifting to a confused yellow. "Where did they go? Scan the entire sector." "High Commander," his first officer began hesitantly. "The human vessel is directly behind the Indomitable." Before Zethrax could process this impossibility, his fleet's pride, the dreadnought Indomitable, shuddered under multiple direct hits. The humans had somehow folded space itself, a technology Ziraxian scientists had declared fundamentally impossible. Drake watched with grim satisfaction as his perfectly placed shots disabled the Indomitable's primary engine array. "Rotate 180 and prepare for another fold. Target their command ships in sequence." The Defiant vanished again, reappearing moments later near another Ziraxian vessel. With each fold, the human ship struck and disappeared before the Imperial fleet could effectively respond. "They're breaking formation," Hakim announced, a note of triumph in her voice. "Their coordination is collapsing. The Empire's advantage had always been an overwhelming force against a predictable target. Against a vessel that could appear anywhere instantaneously, their rigid battle doctrine crumbled into chaos." "Captain," Ortega called out urgently. "The quantum core is reaching critical temperature. We can't maintain this pace." Drake nodded grimly. He had anticipated this. The technology was experimental after all. 3 more folds, Then we switch to conventional tactics. Make them count. The next 15 minutes unfolded in utter confusion for the Xeraxian fleet. The Defiant materialized and vanished like a phantom, each time delivering precision strikes to critical systems. By the time the human vessel settled into normal space for the final phase, 7 Xeraxian warships drifted powerless, their engines or weapon systems crippled beyond immediate repair. High Commander Zethrax watched in mounting horror as his perfect formation disintegrated into disorganized panic. Individual captains broke from the battle plan, firing wildly or attempting to retreat. Never in the Empire's 5,000-year history had they faced such humiliation. All remaining systems online, Drake commanded. Conventional attack pattern echo. Let's finish this. The Defiant moved with impossible agility for a vessel its size, weaving through the scattered Xeraxian formation. Its weapon systems, designed by Earth's finest minds, found vulnerabilities in the Imperial shields that no other species had ever exploited. One by one, the mighty ships of the Xeraxian Empire fell silent or retreated in disarray. In the end, only High Commander Zethrax's damaged flagship remained, venting atmosphere from multiple hull breaches. "Open a channel," Drake ordered, straightening his uniform. High Commander Zethrax's reptilian face appeared on the view screen, scales flickering between rage red and disbelief white. "Listen carefully, High Commander," Drake said calmly. "You will return to your empire with a message. Humanity is not to be subjugated. We sought peaceful coexistence, but you chose domination. Next time it won't be a single ship. It will be our fleet, and we will not show the same mercy I'm granting you today." As the Xeraxian flagship limped away, Drake finally allowed his shoulders to slump slightly. The bridge crew exchanged glances of stunned disbelief before erupting into exhausted cheers. One human vessel had accomplished what no other species thought possible. It had humbled the mighty Xeraxian Empire and changed the course of galactic history. Word would spread quickly through the stars. A new power had emerged, one that refused to kneel before the supposed inevitability of Imperial conquest. "Navigator," Drake said quietly as the celebrations continued around him. "Set course for Earth. It's time they knew what's coming." Lieutenant Hakim approached, her expression serious despite their victory. "Captain, do you think the Xeraxians will honor your warning?" Drake watched the tactical display as the enemy ships retreated, his eyes reflecting the distant stars. "No, Lieutenant. I think we just fired the first shot in humanity's first galactic war." The Defiant's engines glowed blue as it accelerated away from the battlefield, leaving behind disabled enemy vessels and carrying with it the spark that would ignite humanity's resolve across 1,000 worlds. The galaxy had watched in silence as one human vessel took on an empire, but soon that silence would be broken by the thunder of humanity rising to meet its destiny among the stars. The birth of humanity's legend. The Defiant streaked through hyperspace, a blue phantom against the twisted reality outside the viewports. Captain Drake stood in the observation deck, hands clasped behind his back as he contemplated what awaited them at Earth. "Penny for your thoughts, Captain?" Commander Ortega joined him, her expression weary but proud. Drake's eyes remained fixed on the swirling vortex of hyperspace. "We may have won today, Victoria, but we've awakened something far greater than 17 warships. You think they'll retaliate with everything they have?" "I know they will," Drake replied. "The Xeraxians have never tolerated defiance. Our victory won't inspire them to reconsider, only to escalate." The ship's intercom crackled. "Captain, to the bridge. We're receiving an emergency transmission from Earth Command." When Drake arrived, the bridge fell silent. Admiral Toshiro Yamamoto's hologram stood in the center, his usually stoic face betraying rare concern. "Captain Drake, your confrontation with the Xeraxian fleet has had consequences. 6 hours ago, our long-range arrays detected multiple hyperspace signatures. The Xeraxians have dispatched their third armada toward Earth. Over 200 warships." A murmur ran through the bridge crew. Drake's jaw tightened. "The Defiant can be back within 48 hours, Admiral." "That won't be sufficient, Captain. The Coalition Senate is divided. Some advocate immediate surrender to spare civilian casualties. Others demand we stand and fight with what we have. That would be suicide, sir. Yamamoto nodded grimly. Which is why I'm giving you new orders. Before you return to Earth, you're to proceed to Proxima Station. Dr. Eliana Reyes has something that might give us a fighting chance. The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Lieutenant Hakim whispered what everyone was thinking. 200 ships? We barely survived 17. Drake turned to his crew. Set course for Proxima Station, maximum speed. Whatever Dr. Reyes has, it had better be extraordinary. High Commander Zethrax knelt before the holographic projection of Emperor Zor-Zakath, his scales pale with shame and fear. You were defeated by a single human vessel? The Emperor's voice was dangerously soft, each syllable dripping with contempt. The humans possessed technology we believed impossible, Divine One. They manipulated the very fabric of space-time. The Emperor leaned forward, massive clawed hands gripping his throne. Do you suggest our science is deficient, High Commander? Zethrax prostrated lower. Never, Divine One. But this human ship is merely one ship, the Emperor interrupted. I have dispatched Grand Marshal Drakath with the Third Armada to crush this human insolence permanently. You, however, have proven unworthy of your rank. Before Zethrax could plead his case, Imperial guards dragged him away. The Emperor turned to his advisors. This human defiance ends now. Their homeworld will become an example to all who dare resist the inevitable. Proxima Station hung against the backdrop of swirling stellar gases, a massive research facility that officially didn't exist in any coalition database. The Defiant docked quietly, and Drake was immediately escorted to the central laboratory. Dr. Eliana Reyes didn't look up from her workstation when they entered. Dark circles under her eyes suggested she hadn't slept in days. So you're the captain who poked the hornet's nest, she said, fingers flying across holographic interfaces. Dr. Reyes, Admiral Yamamoto said, you might have something to help us against the Zeraxian Armada. She finally looked up, her intense gaze evaluating him. Your quantum displacement field was a prototype, a proof of concept. What I've been developing here is the full application. She gestured toward an enormous chamber behind reinforced windows. Inside floated a pulsing crystalline structure, energy arcing through its lattice. The quantum nexus, she explained. Your ship can fold space around itself. This can fold space around an entire fleet. Drake approached the window, stunned. You're saying we could deploy this across multiple vessels? 17 coalition ships are already being retrofitted with quantum resonators. When synchronized with the Nexus, they can perform coordinated space folds. It's not enough to match the Zeraxians ship for ship, but it might level the playing field. Drake studied the pulsing crystal. How soon? 36 hours. Assuming nothing goes catastrophically wrong. The Coalition War Council convened aboard. The flagship Intrepid. 17 captains, humanity's last best hope, gathered around the strategic table. Drake stood at the head beside Admiral Yamamoto. The Zeraxian Armada will reach Earth in 18 hours, the Admiral began. Our conventional forces can delay them briefly, but the outcome is inevitable unless we succeed. Captain Drake's encounter proved our quantum technology works. Now we must apply it on a scale never attempted. Drake activated the tactical display. Each of your ships has been equipped with quantum resonators linked to the Nexus. When activated, you'll be able to perform coordinated space folds as a battle group. We've developed 3 primary maneuvers. The hologram demonstrated the techniques: simultaneous redeployment behind enemy lines, cascading attack patterns, and defensive displacement formations. This technology remains experimental, Drake cautioned. The more ships that fold simultaneously, the greater the strain on the Nexus. Dr. Reyes estimates we can perform perhaps 5 synchronized folds before the system requires significant cooldown. Captain Juarez of the Valkyrie spoke up. So we get 5 chances to take down 200 warships? Those aren't promising odds. No, Drake agreed. But they're better than the alternative. We've mapped their fleet formation based on previous engagements. Hit these command nodes simultaneously, and we can create maximum chaos within their rigid command structure. As the captains dispersed to prepare their ships, Yamamoto held Drake back. This plan is bold, Nathaniel. Perhaps too bold. With respect, Admiral, bold is all we have left. The Xeraxian Third Armada emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. 200 vessels arranged in their traditional spearhead configuration. At their center, the massive dreadnought Inevitable carried Grand Marshal Drekath, the Empire's most decorated military commander. The humans have assembled a pitiful defense force, his tactical officer reported. 17 vessels in standard opposition formation. Drekath's scales rippled with amusement. They always resist, even when futile. Begin the attack sequence. I want their homeworld bombarded before the next cycle. The massive armada surged forward, weapons charging. On the Intrepid's bridge, Admiral Yamamoto gave the order they'd been waiting for. Activate the Nexus. Aboard Proxima Station, Dr. Reyes initiated the sequence. The crystalline structure pulsed with blinding intensity as quantum fields enveloped the 17 coalition vessels. Nexus synchronized, she reported. Fold capability online. Drake took a deep breath. Execute Battle Plan Alpha. Primary fold on my mark. Now, in perfect synchronization, the 17 human ships vanished in flashes of blue-white light. The Xeraxian Armada's forward barrage hit nothing but empty space. Grand Marshal Drekath rose from his command throne. What trickery is... His words died as the 17 human vessels reappeared simultaneously behind the Armada's command ships. Before the Xeraxians could react, concentrated fire crippled 23 of their vessels, including 2 fleet coordinators. Impossible, Drekath roared. All vessels defensive formation, but the rigid Xeraxian battle doctrine required precious minutes to redeploy, minutes the human fleet didn't give them. As the Armada struggled to reorient, the coalition ships performed their second synchronized fold, materializing amid the enemy formation. Point-blank fire erupted from human vessels in all directions. Xeraxian ships, unable to fire without hitting, their allies fell into disarray. The Third Armada's perfect formation collapsed into chaotic individual responses. Status of the Nexus, Drake demanded over the comm. Dr. Reyes's voice was tense. 3 folds complete. Core temperature rising but still within parameters. Execute Battle Plan Delta. Target their supply vessels and medical ships. The Coalition. Fleet vanished again, reappearing near the Armada's support section. Within minutes, the Xeraxians lost their logistical backbone. Aboard the Inevitable, Drekath faced the unthinkable. Defeat. Order all vessels to fire independently. Ignore formation protocols. The Xeraxian ships began firing wildly, finally abandoning their rigid doctrine. Several coalition vessels sustained heavy damage in the barrage. Nexus approaching critical temperature, Dr. Reyes warned. 1 more synchronized fold, possibly 2. Drake made his decision. All vessels prepare for final fold. Target the Inevitable directly. The human fleet disappeared one last time, materializing in a perfect circle around the Xeraxian flagship. Their combined firepower concentrated on a single point, overwhelming the dreadnought's shields. As the Inevitable's systems failed, Drake opened a channel to Grand Marshal Drekath. The Xeraxian commander's scales had turned ash-gray with fury. Your empire believed itself invincible, Drake said calmly. Today proves otherwise. Withdraw your forces immediately, or we will demonstrate what happens when humanity truly goes to war. For a long moment, silence hung across the battlefield. Then, one by one, the remaining Xeraxian vessels began retreating. As cheers erupted across the coalition fleet, Drake exchanged a look with Admiral Yamamoto. Both men knew this wasn't over. It was merely the beginning. Captain, Lieutenant Hakim reported, we're receiving transmissions from 17 different species across the galaxy. They've been monitoring the battle. Drake nodded slowly. Send them all the same message. The galaxy just changed forever. Humanity stands ready to assist any world seeking freedom from the Empire. As the Xeraxian fleet limped away in retreat, the coalition ships formed an honor guard around Earth, battered, damaged, but victorious. The impossible had been achieved not once, but twice. The legend of humanity's defiance would spread across the stars, igniting hope on 1,000 subjugated worlds. The Terran Empire wasn't born from conquest like its Xyraxian counterpart, but from resistance, the unwavering refusal to bow before overwhelming odds. And as Captain Nathaniel Drake looked upon his homeworld, preserved against all probability, he knew that humanity's first galactic war had only just begun.